Hello friends, myself Naliniganta Jana, HOD Physics, Bhubaneswar Mahavidyalaya, Utkal University. Our today's topic is about magnetic field, that is in the CBCS syllabus of core 3 and it is in unit 2. So, we have to start the physics honors core 3 paper unit 2 magnetic field. So, the first topic is magnetic force. So, before switching to that magnetic force, let us have a brief idea about magnet and magnetic field. As you know in your intermediate classes, what is a magnet? Magnet is a piece of matter in which the molecular dipoles are arranged in a regular geometric pattern and it always points the geographic north-south direction when suspended freely on the surface of earth. Magnet is a piece of matter. Which type of piece of matter? In which the molecular dipoles are arranged in a regular geometric pattern. That means they are aligned in a particular direction. Like I am giving the graphical representation of a magnet. This is a general piece of matter. General piece of matter. And this is a magnet. So, what is a magnet? It is a piece of matter in which the molecular dipoles are arranged in a regular geometric pattern and always points the geographic north-south direction when suspended freely on the surface of earth. And you know every magnet has two poles which are known as the north pole and the south pole. And the distance between the two poles is known as your magnetic axis, that is magnetic length, and often we take the distance between the two poles as a magnetic length and its mathematical symbol is 2L. And the two poles lie near the two ends of the magnet. But the actual length of the magnet is known as the geometric length, and magnetic length is always less than geometric length, and the magnetic length by geometric length is about 0.84. And the pole strength of these two poles of a magnet are equal in magnitude and opposite in nature. That means the pole strengths of the two poles of each magnet are equal in magnitude and opposite in nature. And if we take plus small m as the pole strength of north pole, then we can write the pole strength of south pole as minus small m. And these two poles attract each other. As in our previous case like electric field, opposite charges attract each other. Similarly, here opposite poles attract each other. And in our electrostatics, we have already known about the Coulomb's law, which states the force between two point charges separated by a small distance apart. And exactly here, there is a force between two poles, and we can write this as F proportional to the pole strengths m1 and m2 proportional to 1 by r square, and that is F proportional to m1 m2 by r square, and F equal to some constant, that is mu 0 by 4 pi in SI, and that is F equal to mu 0 by 4 pi m1 m2 by r square for two poles. But here what we have to consider, if there is a force between two poles in a magnet and the force per unit pole strength, force per unit pole strength is nothing but the magnetic field strength, and to explain the magnetic field around a magnetic pole, we have to take the help of magnetic field strength, magnetic lines of force, magnetic potential. Now, if we take the magnetic field strength as B vector, that will be the force per unit pole strength, that is F by m. But here what is our intention? Our intention is to calculate the magnetic force. In our electrostatics, we know the electric field strength E is equal to F by Q0, implies F is equal to Q0 into E, where Q0 represents the test charge. Here, if we inject a charged particle in a uniform magnetic field, then what will happen? The charged particle will experience a force, and that force is nothing but only due to the impact of that magnetic field. So, the force acting on a charged particle in a uniform magnetic field is F equal to Q V cross B, where V is the velocity of the charged particle Q and B is the magnetic field strength. So, let us start first magnetic force, then as we previously know about electric force, F equal to Q0 E, then we will come to our Lorentz force, which is the sum of the magnetic force and the electric force acting on a charged particle. So, before going to the details of Lorentz force, let us first start from magnetic force and derive the expression for that magnetic force, then we will switch over to Lorentz force. If a charge Q moves through a uniform magnetic field of strength B with a velocity V, then the force experienced by the charged particle is, if a charge Q moves with a velocity V in a uniform magnetic field B, then the force experienced by the charge is F equal to Q V cross B. As we know, V cross B is equal to VB sin theta n cap. So, we can write this as F vector equal to Q VB sin theta n cap. Implies the magnitude of F will be QVB sin theta, where theta is equal to angle between V vector and B vector, and the direction of this force is always perpendicular to the plane containing this V vector and B vector, because it is due to the cross product of V vector and B vector. The direction of that force is along the perpendicular direction of the plane containing V vector and B vector according to right hand thumb rule. Now we came to know that if a charged particle Q moves with a velocity v in a magnetic field B, then the force experienced by the charged particle is QV cross B, that is QVB sin theta n cap, and the magnitude of the force is QVB sin theta, where theta is the angle between V vector and B vector, and the direction of that force is perpendicular to the direction of the plane containing the two vectors V vector and V vector. Now, as the force depends on theta, then depending on the various values of a theta, the force will be different for the same charge moving with the same velocity in the same magnetic field. So, let us discuss what are the probable cases of force for a given value of V, Q and V. Special cases. Number 1, if V is equal to 0, then F will be how much? QVB sin theta, QVB sin theta equal to 0. That means if a charged particle is at rest in a uniform magnetic field, then no magnetic force acts on it. So, for a charged particle at rest in a magnetic field, no force acts on it. Number 2 case, if theta equal to 0 degree or 180 degree, then sin theta will be sin 0 degree or sin 180 degree equal to 0. So, F equal to QVB sin theta equal to 0. That means no force acts on a charged particle moving parallel to the magnetic field. That means if a charged particle moves parallel to the field, then no force acts on it. That is, no force acts on a charged particle moving parallel to the direction of a field. That means, if it is the direction of a field and the charged particle is moving with velocity v along that direction or opposite to that, then no force will act on the charged particle. Number 3 point, if theta equal to 90 degree, then sin 90 is equal to 1 equal to maximum. So, F equal to Q VB sin theta equal to Q VB into 1 equal to Q VB, which implies F is equal to Q VB equal to maximum. Thus, maximum force acts on a charged particle moving perpendicular to the field. If the charged particle moves perpendicular to the field, then it will experience maximum force due to the magnetic field, and that maximum force is nothing but QVB. That means product of the charge and the velocity and the field strength of the magnetic field. Now, on which factors does the force depends? The force depends on the charge of the particle, velocity of the particle and magnetic field, then direction dependent, and it is mass independent. Now, we can write the magnetic force depends on the following factors as directly on charge, that is F proportional to Q, and if we will place a charge of a greater magnitude, then a greater force will be experienced by the charged particle with the same velocity in the same magnetic field strength, and B directly on velocity. That means F varies directly V. That means if the same charge moves with a greater velocity in the same field, then it will experience more force, and directly on magnetic field strength, that is F proportional to B. That means greater the magnetic field strength of that magnetic field, greater force will be experienced by a the same charge particle moving with the same velocity as before. And the fourth point, this force is independent of mass of the charged particle. Independent of mass of the charged particle. That means if we take different charged particles with same charge moving with the same velocity in the same magnetic field, then their force will be same. That means if we consider the case of a proton and an electron, both of them possess same magnitude of charge. If both the proton and the electron move with the same velocity in the same magnetic field, then they will experience same force, because both the particles proton and electron differ by mass only, and this magnetic force is mass independent, for which if a proton and an electron move with the same velocity along the same direction, then the magnitude of force acting on both of these particles will be same. Now come to the point, if theta equal to 90 degree, then the force will be maximum. And as already I have told that the direction of force is always perpendicular to the plane containing the v vector and the b vector. That means the plane with which the charged particle moves in the magnetic field. Hence, what will do this force? And this force will not change the kinetic energy of the charged particle, and hence it will do no work, because it acts along the perpendicular direction of motion. And we know previously that if a force acts on a perpendicular direction of motion, then it will not be able to change the kinetic energy or to do some work. Here what we felt, the force acting on a charged particle in a magnetic field acts along the perpendicular direction of motion of the charged particle, for which this magnetic force is unable to do some work and is also unable to change the kinetic energy of the charged particle. Then what this force does? This force compels the charged particle to move in a circular path, because for circular motion the force required is known as centripetal force. But as we know previously that we cannot provide the centripetal force to a body moving along a circular path from an external agent, and the body automatically collects that centripetal force in different situations from various origins. And if a charged particle moves perpendicular to the magnetic field, then the force acting on the charged particle will compel that charged particle to move along a circular path. Now question arises, if that charged particle is compelled to move in a circular path, then what will be the radius of that circular path in which the charged particle will move in the magnetic field? So, to calculate the radius of the charged particle moving in that magnetic field, let us proceed. Number 5 point, the magnetic force is always perpendicular to the plane of v vector and b vector. Hence, this force is not capable of, hence, this force is not capable of doing any work, but compels the charged particle to move along a circular path by providing the necessary centripetal force. That means, as the charged particle moves perpendicular to the direction of field, the force will also act perpendicular to both of them, and that force is incapable of doing any work and changing the kinetic energy, but helps that charged particle, compels that charged particle to move along a circular path. And now, let us calculate the circular path and its radius in which the charged particle will move. So, here I finish this class, and in our next class we will derive the expression for the radius of the circular path along which a charged particle moves in a uniform magnetic field. Many thanks.